All right, if you're about to get laid off, do this. All right, I'm getting a lot of people lately who are in the throes of getting laid off. And these aren't just, because I deal with a lot of software engineers, a lot of IT people, but it's more than just that. Listening to some lady tell me the other day, there's even some professional doctors and nurses and stuff getting laid off. I was like, man, this isn't good. I don't know what, look, maybe it's just because I have I deal with engineers, software engineers, a lot of people in that regard, a lot of white collar professionals and whatnot. And as such, I'm hearing more and more layoffs that are coming, and that's not good. So what do we got to do? Especially if you're under the age of 55, all right, you're under the age of 55. And like I was talking to a guy yesterday, he's getting laid off at 54. So the rule of 55 won't be applicable to him. So he's in some ways getting screwed in that regard, because remember, if you're the age of 55 or older, you can leave your 401k in your current company's plan, have access to it without penalty. Doesn't mean you don't pay taxes, but you'll have an access to it without penalty, as long as you're 55 or older and you leave your 401k where it is, all right? So if you're over the age of 55, do not roll over your 401k unless you have a bunch of cash or something like that. Leave it as is. Leave your 401k where it is, because you might need that money and you want to have access to that money without the 10% penalty. So this guy's, in a way, he's like, dude, he needs some cash. And if he needs cash, he's got access to his 401k or IRA. He's paying a 10% penalty. All there's to it. So every $25,000 he pulls out, it's going to cost him $2,500 in penalty. There's nothing to do about it. Now, with that said, you got to make sure that your 401k provider allows random distributions from your account. I've talked to many people, well, not many, but a number of people who thought they had the post-55 rule in effect, and then they contact their 401k provider. They said, oh, no, you only take one-time distribution, either everything or nothing. You can't just take your random distributions like 50,000 here or 25,000 there. It's got to be the whole thing. And that sucks donkey balls. You're like, dude, what the hell? So anyway, just before you do anything, contact your 401k provider and say, hey, if I leave, separate from service, and I need to take a distribution from my 401k, A, can I do that? And B, can I take multiple distributions? And have them confirm for you that you can do that. And then call back and have another guy confirm again, because I had this one guy up in Cleveland. He's a legendary status up in Cleveland. He knows what he's talking about. And he was told by Fidelity that he could take multiple distributions from his 401k. And then when he retired and left his 401k, went to do it, they said, oh, no, you can only take one-time distribution. He's like, what? That's not what you told me before. So make sure you contact your 401k provider and confirm for that for sure. All right, but what if you're under the age of 55? All right, well, a couple things. We need to have some cash. Do you have any cash? And when I say cash, I'm talking post-tax stuff. It can be a brokerage account. It can be bank accounts, but cash pays the bills. Nothing else. Equity in your home doesn't pay the bills. Cash pays the bills. So we need to have some cash. If everything you have is in a pre-tax account or even a Roth, that means it's going to be subject to a 10% penalty. There's just no two ways around this, and that sucks. If it's in a Roth, at least you don't have to pay income tax on it, but it is subject to a 10% penalty and potentially capital gain tax too. It depends on how much money you've made in there. So I'm 54, going to turn 55 in about 3 weeks. The big double, 55. I can't drive 55. Horrible song. Sammy Hagar. Then he went to Van Halen. Just horrible music, man. I actually like Sammy Hagar. Seems like a pretty good guy, but that music just sucked, dude. Anyway, and you can see Van Halen going down the tubes the minute 1984 came out. Horrible album. Everybody knows it. You know it. I know it. I'll Wait was a pretty good song. Hot for Teacher was fantastic. Everything else in there, you just want to jump off a bridge, face first into a pile of Antifa guys with your MAGA hat on and say, just have with me as you must. All right, so we got to raise cash somehow. All right, how do we do this? Well, hopefully you have some cash in the brokerage account or something like that. If you have a brokerage account, you want to think about selling your stocks. I know it could generate a capital gain, but you want to think about selling your stocks because we need to have cash. and you're a short-term investor and it's part of your portfolio now, right? You might have, I don't know, 100 shares of freaking Tesla stock, and let's just say Tesla stock is way high. Well, it might be worth it to take the gains off the table, pay the capital gain in order to free up some cash liquidity that you can have access to. Because what if you have $100,000 of Tesla stock sitting there in a brokerage account now, and then Tesla stocks drop 25%? You just lost $25,000 of income. You can make the argument, yeah, but what if the Tesla stock went up to 100? I get it. You can make that argument, but short-term investors, we need cash, and we don't want the downside risk as a short-term investor. And if you need cash because you just got laid off, you're a short-term investor. So if you have brokerage accounts that's just sitting there that you've been plugging money into like I do, it's not a bad idea to start thinking about selling those things, even if it generates a capital gain, to raise the cash so you have access to that money. Part 2, increase your home equity line of credit if you can. You want to do it while you're working because, yes, it sucks to take on debt, but, man, the alternative, of course, is what? Is to pull money from your IRA, 401k, pay a 10% penalty and income tax, and then you might lose your ability to qualify for Obamacare premium credits because you're going to have some health insurance most likely. And as such, where? You're going to be on Cobra? Well, Cobra is freaking doggone expensive. It might be worth it, I don't know. But if you're going to go off of Cobra, you need health insurance from someplace. Most likely you're going to go on Obamacare. Well, Obamacare premiums are contingent on your future earnings for that year, I should say, future being the current calendar year. So if you're pulling off $50,000 from your IRA, of which you're going to lose $10,000, $5,000 just a penalty alone, never mind the income tax, that could affect your ability to qualify for Obamacare premium credit. So in this case, it's worth it to take on debt to some regard, so you have access to free, if not subsidized, significantly subsidized Obamacare credits. So get your home equity line increased. Increase your home equity line of credit. Because if you don't have one, where is the liquidity coming from? If everything is tied up in pre-tax accounts, be it a Roth 401k, a Roth IRA, or and probably not much in a Roth or a 401k or IRA. Now, Roth IRA is different because a Roth IRA, you do have access to your contributions without taxes or penalty. That's nice. My sneaky suspicion is very few people have a significant amount of money in Roth IRAs, to be perfectly honest with you. So as such, that's not going to be the benefit that many people ascribe it to. It could be. But at the end of the day, if you don't have cash, you got to generate cash from someplace. Where's that cash come from? If you're coming from a home equity line of credit, even if the interest rate's at 7.99%, for every $10,000 you take off home equity line of credit, it's going to cost you $799. That sucks. But how much are you saving for Obamacare premiums? Thousands of dollars if you get the subsidy. So we need a secondary source of income. Again, cash in a brokerage account, cash in a bank. If we don't have that, or we do have that, a home equity line, increase your amount of home equity line. The guys talked to you yesterday had a $25,000 line of credit. I said, you got to up that to $100,000. And you got to do it now, or whatever, I can't remember what we said, $50,000, because it's going to be harder to get the HELOC established, in this case increased, when you have no income coming in. All right, they don't need to know you're getting ready to get laid off. You just say, hey, I'd like to increase my line of credit. Here's my W-2. They don't need to know. Now, if they ask you, you can't lie to them. If they say, are you about to get laid off? You have to say yes. I've never, in all of my time in doing banking, not one time did I ever ask, are you about to get laid off? And I never did that. All right, so now let's just say you don't have that much equity in your house, and everything's tied up in a 401k, and you don't have that much cash, like many of us do. Well, you're going to have to do something, all right? So one of the ways you could do this is you could say, all right, you don't want to put on a credit card. I mean, you could, but I don't like doing that because that's what almost sunk my ship back in 2008. I think it's worth it to actually pull money out now while you're not on Obamacare, pay the taxes and the penalty. It's a challenge because you're going to be in your higher income tax bracket simply because you have worked, all right? So let's just say you're getting laid off in July. You have 6 months of earnings behind you. So your income tax bracket is going to be based on your 6 months of labor, which might put you in the 12 to not 22%. I don't know. But anyway, so you're going to have to, but we need cash. So at some point you want to pull that money out right now. We don't want to do it later on while we're on Obamacare because we could lose those free premiums, tax credits that you get. Now you could manipulate it and say, all right, I need $100,000 for the next 2 years, $50,000 a year. That's what I was talking to this guy about yesterday. I'll put $25,000 each and every year. He's single, by the way. From my IRA, yes, I will pay taxes and a penalty, but that will generate enough income to qualify for Obamacare. So I have $25,000 of income they'll pull in 2026, 2027. In the interim, I'll pull $50,000 from my IRA 401k now, pay the penalty and the taxes. So I now free up $150,000 there, and then the next 2 years I'll free up $25,000 each year, in which, yes, again, it'll be taxed and penalized. But because I did it in chunks, in slices, I didn't do it in one fell swoop, I'll still be able to most likely qualify for Obamacare premium credits. All right, part 2 or part 3, 5, whatever it is. If you have a family or something like that, make sure you get private life insurance. You don't want to rely on your life insurance through your work. It's going to be crazy expensive once you separate from service. So contact a life insurance company, whatever, and get a private term policy, a 10 to 15 year term policy. If you're only 52 years old and you don't smoke or anything like that, it should be quite cheap. Get a private life insurance policy so that way you're not without life insurance, especially if you got debt and you got a family that's relying on you. Don't rely on your company's what's called portable life insurance, where you can transfer that to your own, because it's expensive, man. Don't do that. Get private life insurance as well. All right, so there's a couple of thoughts there. Private life insurance, raise up cash somehow for sure, increase your home equity line of credit. I'm telling you, I'm hearing this more and more. So just make sure you got these things covered. If you're not about to get laid off, you always want to work as if you are, in terms of build up cash now, dude. Build up cash somehow. Maximize your 401k to the extent of the match. But maybe other than that, start putting some money in cash as opposed to just funding your 401k. Say, okay, I don't have any cash. I need some liquidity. I'm gonna start putting, before it's putting, $15,000 a year to my 401k, of which the company's matching 10. Now I'm just gonna put 10,000 in, and the rest of that 5,000 just build up cash. And cash, man, cash is king. We eat with cash. We don't eat with equity. Just keep that in mind. All right, God bless. Love your thoughts. Comment down below.